let us all do we can to build a better future.
This is more of a follow-up to what we talked about on yesterday's show. And, you know, it's really sad to see this happen to a lot of great pundits and journalists and commentators who've done a lot of great work at RT America. But as it stands right now, RT America ceases productions and lays off most of its staff. So it's official. It's done. And there's a lot of good people who've done a lot of great work at RT America. One of our good friends of the show, Lee Camp, you know, he had a great show called Redacted Tonight, did some phenomenal work. And there were so many others, as well as the production team and editors that worked at RT America. We stand in solidarity with all of you, and we're very sorry this happened to all of you. So, what's going on? RT America will cease its productions and lay off most of its staff, according to a memo. CNN, of all places, fuck you, from TNR Productions, the production company behind Russia's state-funded network. Misha Soldanov, the general manager of TNR Productions, told staff in the memo that it will be ceasing production at all of its locations as a result of unforeseen business interruption events. Unfortunately, we anticipate this layoff will be permanent, meaning that this will result in the permanent separation from employment of most TNR employees at all locations. TNR Productions operated offices in New York, Miami, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. The news would mean an effective end to RT America, the network, one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's main mouthpieces in the United States, was dropped earlier this week by DirecTV, dealing a major financial blow to it. The satellite carrier was one of the two major television providers in the U.S. to carry the network. Roku, a company that sells hardware which allows users to stream content through the internet, also said it had banished RT from its platform. We are sad and disappointed that our groundbreaking channel, RT America, had to go off the air after more than 10 years, and that the company that supplied much of its content, TNR Productions, had to cease most of its operations due to challenging external circumstances. RT's deputy director, Anna Belenka, said in a statement to CNN, "However, we are working hard to find ways that its staff, which has for many years produced award-winning news and programming content, can remain within RT's international family. RT, which operates multiple networks across the world, has seen its reach significantly diminished in the recent days as technology companies and television providers have moved to sever ties with it as a result of Russia's unprovoked war with the Ukraine. Several employees from RT's various networks have also publicly resigned from the outlet. RT America's employees who worked from the Washington, D.C. Bureau were told on Wednesday that all staff meeting would occur on Thursday afternoon, according to an email obtained by CNN. When hosts, correspondents, producers, and others gathered in RT America's lounge, they were delivered the news in person. A person who attended the meeting told CNN. The meeting was about 2 minutes, the attendee said, explained that Solganov told the assembled staff at RT America would be stopping production and the staff would be provided 2 months' pay. The attendee who requested anonymity to discuss the internal deliberations told CNN that the mood was somber. A lot of people were shocked, the person said. A lot of people were crying. So let's stop right here. Obviously, this is a piece from RT America. Not from RT America. This is a piece from CNN. So we all know right now here in our country that corporate media in its own right has its own biases, has its own agenda. But I am deeply concerned about the future of free speech and other independent media networks here in this country. Because the thing is, with RT now gone, and how big tech and a lot of other television providers were quickly to silence a lot of the correspondents and journalists that worked at RT America, how quickly they were kicked off, this opens the door for potential risk for other independent content creators on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media platform. The quick rush of censorship and silence and suppression is never the answer. Case in point, let's look at what's still going on with The Hill. They're still struggling with the fact that YouTube suspended their channel, which is downright depressing and really, really sad. So to The Hill, welcome to the world of censorship, something that independent media knows all too well. I want to pull up this tweet from Kim Iverson. I think it's important that we read this as well, because we can never forget what happened to RT America. Yes, RT is Russia today. What's the difference between them and the BBC or DW or any other foreign news organizer? Nothing. only your bigoted bias. It's a sad day when any news organization is shut down, be they straight news or straight commentary. A free nation needs free press for all. I agree with that statement 100%. In a democracy, you need to have different perspectives, different points of view. You need to have a free press. This is fundamentally important to how we run things in this country. We cannot afford to be in this point in time where we want to remove those that think different than us. In this day and age, we have to respect free speech. We need to cherish it because it could wither away just like that. I want to pull up another tweet as well. This was a post from good friend of the show, Nico House. Again, the censorship is all too real. Breaking. Telegram has removed RT. And as you can see, he tweeted this out. RT News once again removed off of Telegram. But it doesn't stop there. You see, when big tech starts dictating who can be on a platform and who cannot, that means, let's say you're critical of RT. Let's say you don't like them at all. And there are probably a lot of people that are cheering up and down that RT America's gone. Okay. But this is a Pandora's box that we've opened up. That means channels you like, content you like, can also be put on the chopping block. Not today or tomorrow, but someday. This is dangerous. And for many people, they're only finding it out now just how crazy the YouTube algorithm is and how big tech can be when there isn't really oversight over, well, who can dictate what is news and what is not. Again, I have to bring up The Hill. This is a media platform that is far larger than Hardlens Media or any other independent media network. But their channel, The Rising, was hit for BS reasons because YouTube and its algorithm said that they were giving out false information. Now, of course, what's happening to RT is different than The Rising, but it's still in the same category. We're witnessing people panicking and trying to silence a different perspective, a different voice. Now, we all know this nightmare that's happening in Ukraine. Every minute it goes on, it could lead to further destabilization and us closer to witnessing nukes being used. Now, I don't want to see that, and here's hoping that eventually peace does come and that cooler heads will prevail. But the answer is not censorship or removing media networks or silencing them. That's not what we need, and we cannot have that. I want to pull up this tweet as well. This is from Ben Swan. I've worked as a contributor to RT America for several years. I've also worked for CBS, Fox, and NBC affiliates. Always had the most journalistic freedom at RT. And let's face it, those who have called for the censoring of journalists at RT will not stop there. Who's next? And that's a great question. Who's next? Heartlands Media has faced censorship before. 5 times we were hit with strikes from YouTube. Each time was for BS reasons. Our colleagues at the Convo Couch, the Mikasukasu Network, and numerous other independent media networks and channels have been hit hard with the suppression. And right now, with what happened to RT, it does open the floodgates for people to say, well, that channel should be removed. That podcast should be removed. These groups should be silenced. They shouldn't have a platform. We don't want them here. Let's trust the authoritative sources. And mind you, again, look, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CBS, ABC have a long, sad, and pathetic track record of getting the facts wrong. Remember WMDs in Iraq? All of corporate media was on board for it. No accountability for them at all. But that's only scratching the surface. Again, like I said, Fox, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, and the whole rest have done fake news, have failed to deliver the facts. We need independent media. I want to pull up this tweet here from good friend of the show, Lee Camp. In the span of 1 week, my TV show of 8 years was canceled. My podcast of 12 years was banned by Spotify, and my YouTube videos have been banned across Europe and the UK. Here are my initial thoughts on what this means and why RT America was shut down. Obviously, you want to help him out, please consider being his Patreon supporter. It's a real danger for free speech in this country. And look, I don't agree where this is going. I'm basically speechless right now. I want to pull up this final video here, and I want to share it with all of you in its full entirety. Let's check it out.
Our sister channel, RT America, has ended its production after more than a decade on air. This comes after the largest US satellite dropped RT America early this week. However, not everyone agrees with the move, as a German-Finnish tech entrepreneur has now voiced his support for the channel.
Unfortunately, RT is now subject to censorship in many Western countries because it tells the Russian side of the Ukrainian crisis story. I think it is important to access opposing arguments to form an educated opinion, and I recommend you make RT part of your daily reading.
RT has recently faced a string of bans amid the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Google has removed mobile apps connected to Russian media outlets RT and Sputnik from its Play Store, and Apple has also removed the channel's apps. The European Union has banned the English language channel from the bloc, and it has also disappeared from UK broadcast platforms. That move earned praise from the British Culture Secretary, although he was criticised by some people online.
You appear to be praising the EU for shutting down free speech, and yet you call yourself a conservative.
As a conservative culture secretary, you should be standing up for the Western value of free speech, especially at a time like this.
It is at the viewer's discretion to decide who is lying and who is not. I prefer to hear two sides of the story. Censorship is never a good thing.
Amid the string of media bans Russia is currently facing as the crisis in Ukraine unfolds, Moscow has decided to also ban access to some Western media outlets like BBC, Deutsche Welle and Radio Liberty. The Russian media watchdog claims that these platforms spread false information about the conflict in Ukraine.
Okay. And recently it's come to my attention that Russia has also banned or limited access towards Twitter and Facebook as well. Look, I wish this conflict never came to be. I wish that cooler heads prevailed. I wish that our politicians all across this world were able to use the art of diplomacy and dialogue. But sadly, that bridge has been burnt, and who knows where this conflict will lead. But censorship is never the answer. Silencing dissenting voices is never the answer. You need to get two sides of perspective, two sides of the story. I identify myself as an independent and as progressive. But I want to hear the different sides of every story, be they from conservatives, libertarians, socialists, Greens, Democrats, liberals, Republicans, because I want to know what is happening, what is going on, as I like to say on the show. But where we're going right now, as a society, putting people in different echo chambers, you're only going to make the problem worse. Now, yes, there are individuals that abuse free speech. There are good people in this world, and yes, it is up to the viewer to decide who is telling the truth and who is not. And sadly, our authoritative sources in corporate media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, have failed many times. This is why we need independent media. And this is why we need to get money out of politics. This is why we got to break the monopolies that are controlling the media. And more importantly, we have to support free speech. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, but these are definitely some challenging times. So double check that you're still subscribed to our channel, to any other content creator out there. And I guess now more than ever, thank goodness there's Rockfin and Odyssey.